What's up, Flick Connection? This is Darren, and today I'm not in Paris. I'm actually in Las Vegas. The sun's going down here, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite movies to take place in Las Vegas, and that has got to be Martin Scorsese's Casino. The costume budget for Casino was actually over $1 million. Robert De Niro had 70 different costume changes throughout the movie, and Sharon Stone had about 60, and both of the actors were actually able to keep their costumes when the shoot was over. The film takes place at a fictional casino called the Tangiers. If that sounds a little familiar outside of the Casino universe, that's because Andrew Dice Clay's show, currently running on Showtime, called Dice, actually has a lot of scenes that take place at a Tangiers, even though that's a fictional place that was created for Casino. The actual casino that the story's based on, because it is a true story, was the Sahara, which has since been it's been demolished. It still exists in Las Vegas, but not the way that it used to. It was actually filmed in the Riviera, which was only just recently demolished. Back when they were doing the shoot, it was a really popular casino. It's right on the Strip. It's on the north end of the Strip, or it was. And the management of the Riviera was really nervous about the shoot disrupting business. So the shoot actually took place from like 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. As to not to disrupt business, even though the casino is open 24 hours. But even though the management complained about this and they were concerned about it, it didn't really stop them from putting up a huge banner outside of the Riviera that promoted the fact that Robert De Niro and Sharon Stone were shooting a Martin Scorsese movie inside. What the Riviera did actually kind of disrupted the shoot more than the shoot itself disrupted the Riviera. Robert De Niro's character in the movie is a chain smoker. He's always seen with a cigarette and always sort of holds it like this, which he picked up from the real person that his character is based on. But when you're smoking in any movie, there's going to be continuity errors because the cigarette's naturally burning down. You may do multiple takes. The shot may only take place over the course of 10 seconds, but it might have been shot over the course of several minutes, and that cigarette's going to be at different lengths. So what De Niro did was he was just sure to hold it the same length, the end the same length from his fingers at any given time, so that it would always look consistent. So he would just move it based on how far down the cigarette had burned as he was talking, and that helped prevent those continuity errors. The word fuck is said 435 times throughout the entirety of Casino. This was a record for the time and was only later matched by Spike Lee's Summer of Sam, which used the word exactly 435 times. It's not really known if Spike Lee did this on purpose to sort of match Scorsese's record or to not break it. But the only movie to eventually go on and break it is actually Martin Scorsese's Wolf of Wall Street, which to me is sort of a spiritual sequel to Casino in a lot of ways. Just sort of the excess that's seen in Wolf of Wall Street and the pace, just sort of the breakneck pace that movie's directed at is so similar to Casino. When you watch Casino, it just goes boom, 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 boom. It just keeps banging along, which is one of the reasons I really like it. It's sort of one of the underrated Scorsese successes. It's definitely up there as one of his better, but I don't think it gets the full credit it deserves. And it does have some issues sort of with pacing where it's almost difficult to watch at times. At moments in the movie, it's kind of hard to keep up. But he was doing something really interesting with Casino that I think he later perfected in his career. The Departed does the same thing, and it works much better in that movie, and I think he sort of figured some things out while making Casino. But one of the things that I love, love, love about Casino is the music. It's got one of the best soundtracks ever put on film, with about 60 tracks from start to finish that are not part of a score. These are tracks that had to be purchased. They had to get the rights to put them on film, and there's just one after another, particularly in the beginning. They don't as soon as one stops, the next one starts, and they really go back to back to back. And the music evolves over time because the film does cover a period of time. So the music sort of flows along with that from sort of the Rat Pack era, goes up through the 80s, and it's a really interesting way that music is used. Casino is a really good study in how popular music could be used to support a story in film. James Woods famously left Martin Scorsese a voicemail when he heard that there was an opportunity to work on this film. And the voicemail simply said, anytime, any place, any fee. And what that really refers to is the Screen Actors Guild has sort of set or at least minimum wages that actors are to be paid. Jonah Hill is another one. He basically did the same thing. He didn't necessarily leave a voicemail, but he agreed to do The Wolf of Wall Street for the lowest fee possible, which I think at that time I heard was somewhere around $60,000, which was basically nothing to him. It was not anywhere close to the type of money Jonah Hill was making at that time, but he so desperately wanted to work for Martin Scorsese, he happily did it. And a lot of these bigger name actors have to do that in order to work on projects like this, because there's so many of them crammed into one movie that the budgets for these types of films just won't allow for that many big names on one project. Interestingly, James Woods supposedly also had the idea for the scene where Sharon Stone is calling him on her wedding day. Supposedly, James Woods had the idea that on his end of the phone, he would be in bed with a hooker doing blow while sort of having this sweet conversation with Sharon Stone while she was just devastated that she was getting married and it wasn't to him. A lot of the scenes between Joe Pesci and De Niro were actually improvised. Scorsese would tell them sort of where to start and where to end, but the rest in between was really up to them when they were off of the tapes. And what I mean by that is a lot of particularly Joe Pesci's lines actually come from FBI tapes. These guys were under surveillance for such a long period of time that there's just volumes and volumes of recorded phone calls, bugged rooms. There's stacks and stacks of tapes, and so these guys actually, some of the script was actually written based off of these people's exact words. In fact, one of the lawyers seen in the movie was the actual lawyer defending them in real life. He's a famous guy. He's got a restaurant here in Las Vegas, a famous steakhouse in downtown, and he's actually plays himself for a brief moment in Casino. Nicholas Pileggi wrote the book the movie is based on, but he actually didn't finish it until filming had already begun. He'd started the project. There was a lot of interest from Scorsese and De Niro because Pileggi also wrote the book that Goodfellas is based on. Scorsese really wanted to do another movie that dove into this mob world, not just because Goodfellas was such a success, but he felt like he could do a lot more with it, and he really does have a different take on it with Casino. It is a different look, and it's a different type of crime that's taking place in Casino, and it's a very different movie. It's a very colorful movie. It's a very vibrant movie, not just because it takes place in Las Vegas, but it really takes place around some really vibrant characters, whereas Goodfellas is a little bit more the underbelly. Casino is sort of this brass ring that the mob was reaching for, that they actually had for a little while. What they were doing to begin with was greedy, but just the excess greed that was going on ultimately is what got them caught. Not that it wouldn't have ever happened, but they definitely could have gone a lot longer sort of with their control of Las Vegas had they not gotten so greedy. But Casino is a really, really good window into that world, and that's a big reason that the film even got made. You might remember the scene where the two poker cheaters get busted and one of them basically loses his hand to a hammer. The guy that actually gets away in that scene is Scorsese's first assistant director and has worked with him on a bunch of his projects. You don't see him that much. In fact, I think this might be his only real appearance on film, but it was a pretty good appearance.
All right, I'm going to give you a choice. You can either have the money and the hammer, or you can walk out of here. You can't have both. What do you want?
I just want to get out of here.
Robert De Niro and Scorsese have worked together on 8 films, Casino being the 8th and final film that they actually worked on together. They currently have another one in development. It's not yet in production, but it's possible that their next film would be called The Irishman, also star Joe Pesci, and potentially be released on Netflix. In fact, if it gets made at all, it will likely be released on Netflix because Netflix has purchased the rights. So I know that's a little off topic. Wanted to share a little bit of information on some of my Scorsese news of things that could be happening over the next several years. While I'm in Vegas, I definitely wanted to share some of my thoughts on one of my favorite movies, Casino. If you like this video, please let me know in the comments. Please click the like button. And if you like this channel, please click around, check out some of the other videos, and give us a subscribe. I'm going to be putting out new stuff every week. So until next time, thanks for watching.